I got an email from a viewer who said they needed my help with their lawnmower. After meeting up with them, they brought this little mower with them. I was really shocked at how clean it was and also its excellent condition. I asked them about it and they said they knew how I like to work on clean machines, so they cleaned it the other day in preparation for me to work on it. I thanked them for their consideration, put it in my car, brought it home, and this is the Craftsman mower they brought me. In today's video, we look at this Craftsman mower, and the problem is that it ran last year. However, they couldn't get it to start this year. Now, these new plastic carb engines from Briggs are well known for clogging their jets in a very short time, so more than likely that's what's wrong with this one, but we still need to confirm it. Now, I'm going to try and repair this mower. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. Now, we're only going to mention what these other options could be. We don't have enough time to look into them, but if you need more information on these options, you're welcome to ask as many questions as you need to. As I've gotten older, I've been getting a lot lazier too, so I'm always trying to find new ways to work on things without putting too much effort into it. Of course, replacing the carb would be the easiest option, but I also find that I'm a real cheapskate as well, so I'm going to try and clear the jet before I commit to buying a new carb. Now, there is fuel in the tank, and since I didn't personally put it in there, I need to confirm its condition because stale gasoline can also keep this engine from starting. But before I try and start this engine, I need to make sure there's plenty of oil in it as well. Now, always remember to wipe the dipstick clean first and then reinsert it back into the engine. If you don't, you might not realize the engine oil is low, and continued use will slowly destroy it. So it looks like the oil is full, and it also appears to be fairly clean as well, which is quite a change from the normal. It looks like this mower was well taken care of, and from looking under the mowing deck, it looks fantastic here too. The biggest giveaway is that the blade doesn't have any gouges on its edge. Now, after my inspection, I'm going to prime the engine, try and start it, and see what it does and doesn't do. So of course it didn't start, otherwise this video would only be 3 minutes long. The next thing I need to do is confirm that it will even start and run, and to do that I'm going to physically prime it with some fuel from my squirt bottle. If you need one of these, there's a link in the description. Luckily, it started and ran for a few seconds, but it didn't stay running, which means more than likely the fuel jet is clogged inside the carb. The first thing I need to do is to rule out the gasoline as the reason why it won't start. To do that, I'm going to siphon the fuel into a jar and then examine it. So the fuel does have some color to it, but it's not enough to be stale. Also, it still smells like gasoline from the pump, so I'm almost certain this fuel isn't the reason why this engine won't start. If your fuel is cloudy or looks like tea, then I would drain the fuel from the tank and the carb, put fresh fuel into the tank, and try starting it. The next thing we need to do is remove the air filter base so we can get more access to the carb. After the base is free, disconnect the breather hose from the back of the base, then the base will come off pretty easily. Now normally I would remove the entire carb, but I'm going to take a shortcut this time, so I'm going to clear the jet by the easiest means possible. Instead of removing the carb, I'm going to leave it on while I take the bowl off so I can get access to the jet. There's nothing wrong doing it this way, and in the end, this could potentially save me a lot of time and, more importantly, a lot of hassle. Now, once the bolts are loose, I'm going to put a rubber slide under the carb to help redirect fuel away from the mower. If you want to, you could drain the bowl, but that requires a rather large Allen wrench. I really wasn't expecting the bowl to come flying off like that, and now you know why I put the slide underneath it. I was wearing safety glasses just to keep my eyes from getting splashed. Now the bowl luckily still has fuel in it, and it would appear there's some debris in it, which is probably what's clogging the jet. So here's the jet. It's the brass piece sitting in the white plastic. Now to clear it, I'm going to use this wire tie from my last loaf of bread. I just peeled the coating off of it, and it's small enough to open the passage for the fuel. I'm going to move it around for about a minute, and that should be enough to clear it. You can use compressed air if you want to, but for me, this is a lot easier. Now, there are a few reasons why I don't want to remove the carb, and the first is having to deal with taking off the fuel line because the line is so short. While taking it off, I'm always worried that I'm going to break the plastic port in either the fuel tank or the one on the carb. The second reason is that I don't have to worry about disconnecting the governor arm from the plastic arm on top of the carb, which has a tendency to break. Also, if this had an auto choke system on it, I could also break the plastics for it as well. Not having to deal with these issues saves me from a possible headache. After the jet has been cleared and you can see through the opening, we can put the bowl back onto the carb. Now, lining up the bowl to the openings for the bolts is kind of a hassle, so instead I loosely line it up, then use the bolts to draw the bowl into place. Now, you can put the bowl completely into place if you want to, but once the bowl is in, you can't rotate the bowl to line up the holes for the bolts. Also, don't over tighten the bolts, otherwise you could have a really huge problem on your hands. So I'm going to do something that's a bit strange. What I'm going to do is remove the fuel line from the tank so I can fill the line up with fuel. So why am I doing this since I didn't want to deal with the fuel line in the first place? The reason is that I intend on doing a fuel efficiency video right after this video is done, and I need the tank to be empty. Otherwise, I'll have even more work to do to get that video ready. Now, once I've filled the carb with fuel, I'll replace the fuel line and then move on to something more maintenance related. While the mower is on the table, I'm going to lubricate the wheels so they'll spin easier and make this push mower easier to use. I know this might sound a little weird, but this also gives you an opportunity to inspect the wheels for any issues as well. Just remove the wheel, clean the axle if needed, and then lube it with your favorite lube. It doesn't matter what you have. Then reinstall it and see if it spins better afterwards. I like to use lithium grease in a can because it's more convenient to use than a tub of lithium grease. Now, WD-40 or some other light oil should also work as well. Now, while you're here, you can also lubricate the height adjusters as well. Now, giving it a light spin shows us it's working better already. If it works this well with a light spin, then giving it a Price is Right spin should work even better. If you didn't know, there's a game show where the contestants have to spin a huge wheel, and some people get a bit carried away when spinning it. I'm going to do the same for the large wheels in the back, and as you can see, there's a huge difference here. Now, you don't have to do this very often, but once a year seems like a decent schedule for me. You can obviously do it more, but don't get carried away. If you don't care to even bother doing this, well, that's your choice, and I respect it. Now, lubricating these cheaper plastic wheels will make them last longer because they don't have steel inserts in them. Instead, as time goes by, the plastic will wear away and the wheels will start to wobble and more than likely eventually break. The more expensive mowers can still benefit from lubrication even with the inserts. The last thing we need to do is to replace the air filter base, and of course, not forgetting to reconnect the emissions breather hose to it as well. After that, I'll replace the air filter and finally the cover. I'll then prime the engine and try starting it. If it does not start, we may have an issue with the priming system. Luckily, it started with no issues and it sounds fantastic. Now, for being as old as it is, I have to congratulate the owner for taking such good care of it. Now, to avoid the situation in the future, I would run the mower empty of fuel before putting it up. Another reason why this engine might not be starting is a spark issue either related to the spark plug or maybe the ignition coil. The easiest to test is of course the spark plug, and replacing the coil is a last resort because of its cost. In the end, we were able to get this mower running again without even taking the carb off the engine, and since the oil looks great along with the blade, I didn't have to mess with either one of them for once. So my question is, would you have taken the carb off to do this repair, or would you have done it the way I did by taking a shortcut? Personally, I've done it either way, and this way seems to make more sense to me versus spending more time to do it the other way. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.